Wayfair's big sale is here. It's Way Day, and it's on now. For 4 days only, score up to 80% off all things home, with free shipping on everything. Now through October 29th, score Wayfair's best deals, like up to 80% off area rugs, up to 60% off mattresses, up to 60% off bedroom furniture, and more exclusive doorbuster deals. So build your cart and shop Way Day starting October 26th at wayfair.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
So the Clue crew is going to see a birds tweeting. Usually in New York, I have to deal with like sirens, ambulances, people yelling on the street. Now it's like lawnmowers and tweeting birds. It's a very suburban problem, this episode. Welcome, fellow sleuths, to Meddling Adults, a game show where we grab our 5 best friends and go head-to-head to test our wits against the prowess of fictional young detectives for charity. I'm your host, Mike Schubert, and I'm notoriously bad at solving children's mysteries, which is why I'm safely behind the judges' table, letting others battle it out instead. Our contestants this week is a very special pairing of humans. It's my parents, Barbara and Joel Schubert. Mom and Dad, how's it going?
It's going great, Mr. Mike, Meddling Adult, sir.
As Kelly has dubbed this is now Take Your Parents to Work Day, which I'm very excited about.
In my pajamas.
Mm-hmm. That's the best part about this job. You never have to get dressed. It's wonderful. I've gone to Take Your Son to Work days for both of you.
Yes. You have.
I remember very few things from both. I remember drawing on a whiteboard in your engineering office with a green expo marker, and that was very fun.
And you probably had a good lunch.
Probably had a very good lunch. Yep. And I don't know, for KM stuff, I remember there would be times where you would just bring me to the office on like half days or something.
During the summer sometimes, I would need you to come to work with me. If I had to go to work, I would bring you along. And then we would go to lunch with Brian.
That was always fun. Did I ever do anything helpful? I remember playing a lot of Sonic on my Sega little Game Gear, but I don't remember if I ever did anything productive.
Yes, you did, because you had summer reading and summer math. So you would do both of those at the office. And like one time you came and played golf with Mikey as you got a little bit older.
Ah, look at me, child Mike doing big things. So today's mysteries are from Clue Jr., which is a new book series that we're introducing to the podcast. It is based off of the kids edition of the board game Clue. So they have Clue the board game, they made Clue Jr. the board game, and then they made these books, which are basically propaganda to make you play Clue Jr. the board game.
We never played Clue Jr.
No, we only played regular Clue.
And then we lost pieces. But the time we played it just recently, we all couldn't figure it out because the wrench was missing. The lead pipe was missing, and it was, oh my God, it was
We were playing
terrible.
the 2 weeks I was here before the wedding. It was very fun. We had board game nights where we played Yahtzee, we played Sorry, and then we tried to play Clue, and we had all of our guesses. Joel tried to do a guess, he was wrong. I tried to do a guess, I was wrong. Barb tried to do a guess, Barb was wrong. And then we found out that the lead pipe card was just not in the game. So none of us could have been correct.
And we're all looking around each other like, how can that be? I can't.
How can
it's
we
the
all
lead
be wrong?
pipe. What's going on?
I knew I had solved that mystery.
So I've never played Clue Jr., but in this book series, they often say the kids were playing their favorite game, Clue Jr., which is fantastic. So Barbara, today you'll be playing for the Jeremy Fund. Joel, you will be playing for Feeding America, specifically the Houston Food Bank. And before we get into the mysteries, let me just give a bit more background on Clue Jr. So it is child versions of the 6 characters that you can play in the Clue board game. They are kid versions of themselves, which is confusing because these kids are the characters in Clue Jr., the board game, which is their favorite board game to play.
They're playing a board game about themselves.
Exactly. Their names are Mortimer Mustard, Samantha Scarlet, Wendy White, Polly Peacock, Peter Plum, and Georgie Green. So it's all kid versions of our 6 favorite characters from the beloved board game Clue. Now, what's fun about Clue Jr. is these were written in the 90s. And if you'll notice from the cover that I'm showing you, they're all white kids. And they very quickly rebranded after making the first 8 books. They were like, oh, this isn't a good look. There's no diversity at all. The other thing we'll see as we go through the mysteries I have prepared for this episode is all of the mysteries involve them messing with each other. Like it's all
like
of them
goofing on them.
Yeah, but it's more malicious than just goofing because it's like people. Yeah, it's like them stealing things from each other or breaking each other's property and lying about it. So the book's got some bad press because first off, no diversity, and then second, it was not
mischievous.
Yeah, it's mischievous and it's not teaching lessons to children because what antics do these 6 best friends get into? They just mess with each other and then blame each other for ruining their stuff. Yeah, so they very quickly rebranded in book 8 to where there's more diversity in terms of the gender breakdown and the race breakdown of the kids, and then also the mysteries they solve are trying to do good things, like Encyclopedia Brown. But what's surprising is these came out in the 90s, and it's bad morals, whereas Encyclopedia Brown came out in the 60s, and he's like helping old ladies in his neighborhood.
Very strange.
It's very strange. So here's how the game is going to work. I will be presenting recaps of a few mysteries from the first edition of Clue Junior, and I will be recapping these mysteries for you all. I'll lay out all the clues, the suspects, etc. You give me your guesses, and you will get points if you are correct in terms of who did it, their motive, etc. There's also bonus points at stake. First, if your guess is incorrect, and it's the same as what my incorrect guess was while I was preparing this episode, you'll get a Misery Loves Company bonus point. And also, if you do anything particularly fun, your guess is particularly wild, you throw a good jab at each other, you make me laugh in some particular way.
Watch out, honey.
You make me laugh in any particular way, I could throw some bonus points around. If the game is tied at the end of these mysteries, we will go into a sudden death riddle tiebreaker. And I know Joel is the riddle master, as he used to tell us a bunch of riddles growing up, so we'll see if it even gets to that. But let's get into our first mystery, the case of the missing cake. So these kids are in school and they are in class, and you learn that their teacher, Miss Redding, has a surprise treat for the class at the end of the lesson. She's going to give them some sort of baked good. It's in a big box because it's her birthday. But she says that they can't have it until after lunch. But when they come back from lunch and recess, Mrs. Redding grabs the box, and when she opens it, it's completely empty. So she starts asking the kids what happened and trying to get their alibis to see what everybody was doing during the lunch break. Georgie Green says that he was playing basketball with Mortimer Mustard. Mortimer says the same thing, and he tells Mrs. Redding that they were together the entire lunch period. Wendy White says that she was in the cafeteria reading. Peter Plum says that he ate his lunch quickly and spent the rest of the period in the computer room. Polly Peacock says that she was in the library working on homework and couldn't have eaten it anyway because she's allergic to chocolate. Samantha Scarlett says that she was playing jump rope with the students from Miss Mauve's class. Now, this is something you'll notice, that every person's last name in these books is a color, which I do appreciate as a little attention to detail, is that even the side characters, their names are color-based, just like in the game. So after hearing all of these things, Mrs. Redding really isn't sure what happened, but Wendy White speaks up and says that she knows who did it. So I turn to you, Barb and Joel. Who of the kids do you think is guilty?
I know who did it.
Okay, who?
The little person who knew it was chocolate.
How would they know it was chocolate?
Chocolate.
That is correct. That is correct. She never said it was chocolate cake. She kept it a surprise the whole time. You just knew it was a treat. You just knew it was some sort of treat that looked like cake. How would you have known it was chocolate unless you ate it? So right now at the end of this first round, the score is tied 3-3.
Here we go.
Yes, but I wanted to know if in the box there were assorted baked goods like Joel P. used to buy for the soccer girls when they slept over, and the dance girls.
From Eat Good Bakery.
I'm very excited having you two on the show because we can finally have an excuse to share Schubert family stories, which is a wonderful pastime of us. Do you want to share? I
apologize if it's boring to the listener.
Oh no, they're going to love it. They're going to eat it up. Do you want to give more detail on the assorted baked goods story of why it came to be known as assorted baked goods?
So Megan had a sleepover for her dance team. And then in the morning,
she had soccer practice early.
Oh, yes. Megan had to go to soccer practice early.
So all the girls stayed.
So all the girls stayed over. And
they stayed when she left for soccer
So
practice.
They were still sleeping, didn't know what they wanted for breakfast. So I went to the bakery, had no clue to what they wanted. So I got one of everything. Chocolate donuts, regular donuts,
pastries,
crumb buns.
AKA assorted baked goods.
I came in with this box, just like you're talking about. And they opened it up and they said, "What's this?" And I said, "It's assorted baked goods." And so then after Megan came back home, and then the next time they slept over, they asked if I was going to get assorted baked goods every time they were there. And of course I did, and got it from Eat Good Bakery in Trenton. So anyway, that's the assorted baked goods.
You're so prim and proper. I've brought assorted baked goods, children.
Well, it's what was in the box.
Yeah, it's not a lie. You were just being descriptive. So we go to our next mystery, the case of the missing cat, which I know is Joel's dream.
Where's Kelly? Loving cats.
Joel is deathly allergic to cats. So the Clue crew are all playing with their pets in prep for the town's annual pet show, where you have your pet do some sort of special trick, and you can win first place if your pet does the best trick. Peter Plum's dog can walk across the room on its hind legs. Wendy White's parrot can sing happy birthday. Mortimer Muster's goldfish can swim through hoops when it's fed. Polly Peacock's turtle can climb a papier-mâché mountain and slide down the other end. Georgie Green's monkey named Bingo can juggle. And Samantha Scarlett's cat named Missy can walk across a balance beam. Now, all of the other pets, it doesn't matter. I just thought it was fun to share what all of their little tricks were. The only pets and tricks you need to know for the purpose of this mystery is that Georgie Green's monkey named Bingo can juggle, and Samantha Scarlett's cat named Missy can walk across a balance beam. Now, of all of these talents so far, I don't feel like a lot of them are great. The turtle climbing up a mountain and sliding down the other end doesn't really seem like anything fancy in particular. Right. I think the parrot singing happy birthday is my pick for the best.
I would think so.
But this doesn't matter. We have a missing cat to solve. So Samantha is in the backyard practicing with Mittens, her cat that can walk across a balance beam, when her mom calls her in for lunch. And guess what lunch is? Bonus point if you can guess what lunch is.
Tuna fish sandwich.
No, we talked about it today. What did I eat for lunch all of the time growing up?
Oh, peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Ding, 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 ding. So it's peanut butter and jelly sandwich with a glass of milk. I was a growing boy. I was very hungry. I've given you each a bonus point for nailing this, so the score's now 4-4. So yeah, she goes in to eat a peanut butter and jelly and a glass of milk, a very Michael Schubert approved lunch. And when she comes out to the backyard, Mittens, her cat, is gone.
Dun, dun, da, da.
She looks everywhere in the backyard to find it. She cannot find Mittens. So she hops on top of her fence and calls over to her neighbor, Miss Lavender, again, another color name. And Samantha asks if she has seen where Mittens went. Miss Lavender says that she has not seen wherever Mittens went, but she says that she did see a boy in their backyard, and he was wearing a green jacket and green pants, so it has to be Georgie Green, because the Clue kids, much like their adult counterparts in the board game, have to wear the color clothing as their last name. Which I thought was silly at first, but if my last name was a color, I'm pretty sure it would immediately become my favorite color. So Samantha calls together the rest of the Clue crew, and they are going to go to Georgie Green to confront him because clearly he has stolen this cat. When they accuse him of doing so, he is taken aback, and he is very upset that they would accuse him.
What's Georgie's gig? What's his pet?
He's got the monkey named Bingo.
Oh, he's
that
got the
can
monkey.
Juggle.
Okay, all right. Gotcha.
So Georgie is very upset that they would accuse him of this dastardly deed. And he says that all I was doing during lunch was helping Bingo practice his juggling. Georgie says that he can prove his innocence because he happened to be filming Bingo juggling while they were practicing. So he takes the kids inside and plugs his camera into the VCR, right? That's how I would imagine you would make it happen.
In the 90s, yes. Absolutely.
So plugs it into the VCR.
Unless it was a beta.
Oh, God.
Could have been a beta.
Max.
Yeah.
So he sets it all up and plays the video, and you can see at the bottom of the video that it says October 5th, 12:03 p.m. Since she was eating at lunch, she was eating at noon, this is his alibi. And when he is playing the video, Mortimer Mustard says, I don't know, you can hardly see Bingo because of the long shadows that the trees are casting. And Georgie says, yeah, I knew that too, so we went inside and filmed the rest of it inside. So he fast forwards the tape a little bit, and then when he stops, they are inside and Bingo is juggling, and the bottom of the screen from the tape says 12:07 p.m., same date, October 5th, and there's a clock in the background, a standard analog clock, and that also says 12:07 p.m. So this is Georgie's alibi of how he wasn't over there during lunchtime to take Mittens. Polly says that he probably could have changed the times, and Georgie denies this, but Peter says he knows Georgie is lying. So I turn to you two. How does Peter know that Georgie is lying about where he was during the theft of Mittens?
So you said there's a couple. There's 4 minutes missing. He had till 12:03.
He fast forwarded.
Oh, he fast forwarded. So there was filming.
Yes, it was still filming.
Was a continuous film? So he's outside. There's shadows, and then he says, "Oh, let me go inside to get better lighting," and the camera's still rolling.
What the book says is that he just hits fast forward and then hits play when it gets to 12:07.
He gets to 12:07.
Right.
So he fast forwarded through when he took the cat, if in fact he took the cat.
He fast forwarded in the 4 minutes that he is laying forward that it took them to go from outside with the juggling monkey to inside with the juggling monkey.
That's when he
That's what he is saying those 4 minutes were.
And the reason he went inside is because there was shadows from the tree?
Yeah, and he said you couldn't really see the monkey while he was recording because they were outside.
So we're trying to prove that Georgie really did take the cat.
Yes.
I was going in a different direction.
You think Georgie's innocent?
Well, no, if you tell me he took it, but I thought what I was kind of focusing on was that the cat was walking across the balance beam, and when they asked Miss Lavender, was it? Mm-hmm. And there was a fence between them, I thought the cat took the fence to be like a balance beam. So I'm thinking, oh, Miss Lavender did it because whether she meant to or not, the cat walked across the fence, and then maybe she just said, oh, here's a kitten, and kind of rescued it, if you will.
Okay.
So
Barbara thinks Miss Lavender is guilty.
I was a little off from following those clues because I had my own scenario going in my head.
Okay. All right.
And who thinks he's guilty? Mustard?
Yeah, but honestly, it doesn't really matter.
So somebody thinks he's guilty and he knows why. And you kept talking about clocks all lining up. The clock in the house, the clock in the VCR.
Polly is the one that brought up that he could have adjusted the clock and changed the clock on the camera to make his alibi look airtight. But Peter has definitive proof that Georgie is lying.
Let me ask you a question. Where did they go inside? Inside whose house?
Inside Georgie's house. Georgie was in his backyard filming the monkey. Georgie took the monkey inside his house.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Everyone was at their own respective homes.
I'm thinking that Georgie was in her yard.
No.
So he's in his own yard. Mm-hmm. Okay, and he knows that he took it.
Does he live right next door to her?
I assume so. Okay. They all walked over
to
his
here's
house.
my theory, because I don't know any other theory here. I was thinking about, shading, the trees in the shade, so it's a different time because the sunlight, but it should have all happened during noon because that's when, what's-her-name went in to have her peanut butter and jelly sandwich, her Michael Schubert special. Mm-hmm. So what I would say is when they all went back to view it, he saw cat hair on his clothes.
Okay, I am going to award each of you a bonus point. I'm going to give Barb a bonus point because I like you thinking that Miss Lavender was guilty because it's pretty funny.
Barb suspects anyone.
I just like that you're like, she did it. She's lying about not seeing
Never
the cat.
liked her.
But Joel, I'm giving you a bonus point because you were so close. The correct answer is that they say that the shadows were long shadows from the tree.
Would have been later in the day.
But if it was noon they wouldn't have been long shadows. So that is the proof that he filmed this whole thing at a different time.
Okay,
that's how they knew it was. There wasn't cat hair or anything.
Yeah, okay, but that was kind of how I was trying to think how he filmed it at a different time. Okay, I get that.
Mm-hmm. I gave you a bonus point for a close but no cigar situation, and Mom got that neighbor's up to no good, and I never liked her. She didn't bake me cookies when I moved in.
She didn't
Miss
make
Lavender.
me almond biscottis like
true.
Kelly did.
That's right.
Yeah, while we're recording this, Kelly is making and putting together almond biscottis, which is very exciting. So at the end of this second round, the score is tied 5-5. It's a close one. We now get into the case of the movie madness. So the Clue Crew is going to see a matinee film of a whodunit movie called The Mystery of the Black Veil. There's actually a really sweet moment, which is rare in these books since it's usually them just being rude and awful to each other. There's a sweet moment where Samantha lends Wendy a quarter because she was 25 cents short of the $3 children's ticket admission fee. So they all get their tickets, and when they get inside, they're trying to determine where they should sit. Georgie and Mortimer want to sit in the front so that they're the closest to the action. Peter and Wendy want to sit in the back because they don't want to hurt their necks. And Samantha, in another sweet moment, says, why don't we all just sit in the middle? We should all sit together.
Let's compromise.
I just like that of the 8 mysteries in this book where all of the things that are happening are terrible, this one mystery is the ray of hope where they're actually nice to each other.
That ray of sunshine.
So they all decide to sit in the middle of the theater, which is the correct answer. And that is the right thing to do when you go to see a movie. And just as the movie is about to start, the usher walks in. It's a teenager. He walks in and tells everybody to get out of their seats and walk into the hallway because someone at the theater saw a kid sneaking in from the side door of the theater, and they want to check everybody's ticket stub to see that everyone that's in the audience actually purchased a ticket. So as they are leaving their seats, when Peter walks by the usher, he goes, hey, if someone saw the guy walking in the side door, why can't they tell who it is? And the usher goes, what are you, some kind of detective? And then Peter Plum goes, well, actually, and then he goes, I don't want to hear it. Which is Really good. So the usher then further clarifies that the door was facing directly into the sunlight, so whoever saw him walk in couldn't make out the features of who walked in the door. So they line everybody up and they start checking the ticket stubs, and Georgie notices Bobby Blue, again, color name, and he and Peter are convinced that he is the one that snuck in because Bobby Blue apparently is the town bully, goes around town. He's this book's Bugs Meany.
And he's cheap.
I guess. I don't know. They just think he's a bad dude. In the illustration, he's wearing a leather jacket, so you know he's guilty for sure. But when they peek over, they're trying to see, oh, does he have a ticket or not? When they peek over, they see that he's got a little stub. It's half ripped, but you can see like admit won $7 on his ticket. So they're very upset that he doesn't appear to be guilty because they really think this guy did it. When the usher is going through asking everybody for their tickets, Wendy can't find her ticket stub. And she's very distraught because she's like, I totally thought I had it. I thought I put it in my purse. I don't know what happened. And she just simply can't find it. So the usher thinks that she is guilty and she's just making up excuses. He wants to take her to the manager to, I guess, put her in timeout. I don't know what you do to children that sneak into the theaters.
No popcorn.
But Peter intervenes, stands up, says that he knows that she is innocent and he knows that somebody else is guilty. So I turn to you two. How did Peter know this?
Who was the little girl that was a quarter short?
Wendy, who ended up losing her ticket, was a quarter short.
Say the ticket was $1. Did Wendy give 75 cents to the person who bought her ticket, and maybe that person has 2 ticket stubs and Wendy doesn't have any because she didn't actually purchase the ticket?
Okay. All right. I could see that. That's a fun guess.
That's pretty good, hon. God. So he knows that somebody snuck in the side door. They're all sitting in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
The usher said who told him someone snuck in?
Someone working at the theater.
Somebody working at the theater saw somebody sneak in.
Right.
We're trying to prove it's not Wendy.
And Peter says he knows it's not Wendy.
Right.
Because it's him.
Well, it's not Peter. So, I mean, just an obvious reason would be he knows it's not Wendy.
Does Peter have a ticket?
Yes, every other kid besides Wendy
ticket.
has their ticket. The only other ticket that they saw was the one that I described from Bobby Blue.
Was it the correct ticket or was it a ticket to a different show for a different date? Just a random
there you
ticket
go.
stuff. Because first of all, you said it was $7 and
that's
it's
a good one there,
1990,
Bob.
So, that price is
The
way
bad
off.
boy could have been yesterday's ticket. My guess would be, obviously, who's trying to save Wendy?
Peter.
Peter was with her when she purchased the ticket, but how could he prove that he was with her?
Well, did you say they came in together? 2 people came. There were.
All of the kids were back to back in line.
So they all know they all bought the ticket.
Mm-hmm.
I think either Wendy doesn't have the stub because the person who
So-
helped her out, or the guy had a different ticket for
This
something
is a Seinfeld
else.
episode where George loses his ticket and he has to buy it like three
3
times.
times.
He gets
Because
kicked
they
out
won't
of
let
the
him
theater.
back in because
Yeah.
he can't find his
I
stuff.
just went through this. We just did this 2 minutes ago. That's my only guess, that he was with her. We saw her purchase the ticket. I don't have another guess.
All right. 3 points to Barbara Schubert. She is correct. If you noticed the very small detail in the beginning, she had a quarter to make it $3, and his ticket, the admit one stub that they saw, was for $7. So he had an old adult ticket from.
I didn't know that
can.
part. I wasn't
I
listening
tried to.
close enough.
I tried to
Yeah.
hide it really subtly because the book makes it very obvious. You'll notice the picture, which I can put on the page's Instagram. He has a very big ticket that says "Admit one $7" in his leather jacket and bad boy haircut and big boots. He's like a child version of Bender from The Breakfast Club. So clearly he's guilty. So at the end of this round, Barbara leads 8-5 as we get into our final mystery.
Uh-oh.
The case of the dinosaur disaster.
Dun, 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 dun.
I feel like I'm going to have to add that every time I say a case now from now on. So the class is going to the Science Museum on a field trip. Georgie is the most excited because he is obsessed with T-Rexes and he just won't stop talking about Tyrannosaurus Rexes. Wendy says that her favorite is the Brontosaurus, but Peter corrects her, gives her a well actually, and says that the Brontosaurus is actually an outdated term and they are now called Apatosauruses. So Mortimer Mustard makes fun of him for this and says, how about a pat on your back, and slaps him in the back and then says, got you last. Now I turn to the two of you, older folks than I am. Is this like an old school version of tag? I've never heard of calling it got you last.
Yes.
I guess so.
Yes.
I guess you could interpret it that way.
I
Pretty
imagine
much.
that's what it
Yeah.
is. It's just
Yeah.
the same thing
You're
as
it.
tag.
You're
but-
it.
Yeah.
Got you last.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
so. They play this throughout the entire bus ride. The two of them, Peter and Mortimer, are playing Got You Last the entire bus ride on the way to the museum. And then they stop at the museum itself. When they get there, they meet their tour guide, Mr. Black, another color, and Mortimer and Peter do not stop playing Got You Last, even when they are inside the museum.
Of course not.
Now, this is the point where I'm very conscious of me saying the word museum a lot, and I'm pretty sure I just said it as museum because I've been made fun of for the way that I pronounce this word, and I'm still not 100% sure what is right. I've been told by Kelly that it's museum. Museum? Okay. Is it a Northeast thing to say museum?
I've never heard
Where
that.
did I pick that up?
France? I don't know.
Oh God! Because I was doing a improv show in Seattle for Comedy Sports, and I was hosting, and I was doing the game where you have people guess stuff, and you have to turn to the audience for suggestions. And someone said museum, and I think I said museum, and then everybody started laughing at me, and I was very confused because I didn't tell a joke, and that's the only time people should be laughing. And I asked what was up, and someone said, "You said museum funny,"
And your fly was still up; it wasn't open or anything.
And I was so confused because I didn't remember how I had said it. And it was one of those words that I thought is just could be pronounced either way. So then I was very nervous because I knew the next time I said it was high stakes, but I didn't know what was the correct one or what was the way that I said it or what was the way that I was made fun of for. And I just kept flip-flopping and they kept laughing at me and it wasn't a very good day. So they go to the museum and they are continuing to play Got You Last. All throughout the exhibits.
As we know it today.
One of the instances of Got You Last is Mortimer unzips Peter's backpack and all of his books fall out. And while he's picking up the books, he slaps him on the back and says, "Got you last." Later on, Peter pushes Mortimer from behind so hard that he falls into a exhibit of a raptor, like a raptor bone structure thing. It doesn't break, but he falls over, and when he's on the ground, he slaps him on the back and says, "Got you last." Great morals in Clue Jr. Just, roughhouse in the middle of a museum. So then they finally make their way to the T-Rex exhibit, and Georgie is so hyped. He is so excited. Mr. Black starts ripping off facts about T-Rexes. He says Tyrannosaurus Rex translates to King of the Thunder Lizards. I knew this because I took Latin in high school. And he also says that T-Rexes can grow up to 40 feet long and up to 18 feet tall when they're standing upright, and that's the orientation in which the exhibit in the museum is. So after checking out the exhibit, it's the last thing on the tour. They're starting to leave to head back to the bus, but Peter and Mortimer are staying behind, continuing to look at the T-Rex exhibit. As the class is getting ready to leave, they hear a big crash. Oh, no. And of course, all of the T-Rex bones are scattered across the floor. And the is it a skeleton? What do I call it?
Yes,
the skeleton is ruined.
Oh my.
So Miss Redding is absolutely livid, understandably so. She says that the two of them have depraved children in the future from seeing the exhibit because it's going to take them weeks to restore it. I love that that's her first concern. It's not that
anyone's hurt.
You may have damaged a priceless exhibit or somebody got hurt. It's what about the future children who can never see the exhibit? She demands an explanation from Mortimer and Peter. Mortimer right away blames Peter, says that Peter wanted to take a bone from the exhibit to give to Georgie as a gift since he is so obsessed with T-Rexes. He explains that Peter grabbed the T-Rex's arm and then the whole thing came toppling down. Peter starts to try to defend himself, but Miss Redding says she doesn't want to hear any excuses, which is very reminiscent of how I remember being tattled on in school. Like when I was in first grade, if someone tattled on you and you try to say that they're lying, I feel like the teacher very often went immediately to, "I don't want to hear any excuses." It's not an excuse.
I'm not guilty.
Robbie was just lying. So Peter tries to stand up for himself. Miss Redding is having none of it, but Georgie steps in and says that he knows that Mortimer is lying. So I turn to the two of you. How did Georgie Green know that Mortimer Mustard was lying about what happened?
So Mortimer said that Peter went and pulled the arm down. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you're saying that Georgie knows that Mortimer isn't telling the truth.
Yes, Georgie just knows that Mortimer is lying in his story about what happened.
So Mortimer
Mortimer
said that Peter did it.
Mortimer said Peter did it,
Who
yes.
unzipped the backpack?
Mortimer unzipped Peter's backpack.
And Mortimer said Peter did it.
Yes.
Okay,
He's a jerk, that guy.
I never liked Colonel Mustard.
Mortimer.
I'm already having problems with issues with the story from way back when the backpack was unzipped and the books fell out because you would never bring your backpack full of books on a class trip.
I like that. I like that Barb wants to go back.
Well, unless you're going to the U.S. Open and you're studying, then you would bring it. We could have been in a New York museum and Michael had a study on a coffee break, right?
I don't think I ever did that, but I did used to have
You
to
did.
bring.
You would bring your books to the U.S. Open.
Yes.
So anyway,
For context of everyone, when I was growing up in New Jersey, we would go to the U.S. Open tennis tournament over Labor Day weekend because my uncle worked.
Well, no. This is when you were in Texas.
In
in
St.
Texas,
Thomas.
right?
St. Thomas gave you all that homework.
We would still do it over Labor Day weekend. I would have to always have so much homework, but we would go to the U.S. Open because my uncle volunteered for the USTA. He could get us free tickets. It was our excuse to go to New York every year kind of thing. It was great. And I just always had so much homework when I would go. And I remember one of the times we were flying from Texas to New York, I had all of my textbooks in my backpack. And when it went through the x-ray machine, it just looked like a big black rectangle. And the whole security was like, what is this child doing? What is this 14-year-old doing? It's
just books.
And then it was just all of these books because, I'd have so much homework. So we would go to the U.S. Open in the day, and then I would have to spend the rest of the entire evening while we're in
Cramming.
New York, the city that never sleeps, in a hotel room just doing homework for the rest of the day. It was terrible.
But we picked you up from school and went straight to the airport. So you
Right.
had all your books. And you had to
Okay.
do it in the lounge waiting to get on the plane. You had so much homework.
All right, let's get back to the story. All right.
One final detail, I used to break my backpack every year because I carried so much books in it.
yeah,
That's
this
the
is
true
true.
sense of nerddom
Yeah,
is my backpacks
yeah.
never lasted a year.
Yeah, they would rip at the seams. Absolutely. All right, so let's just backtrack here real quick.
Well, first of all, he could never get close enough to the exhibit because they're all roped off.
This is the
Man,
90s.
come on, they
They're
hopped
not
over the
roped.
rope.
Come
Nobody
on.
looked
Oh, but
at
he
it.
can't reach the hand. It's way up in the air. He's 18 feet tall.
And T-Rexes have very
Can't do
short
it.
hands.
Yeah.
So
there's-
that's a lie. That's how he knows it's a lie.
and he can't reach
But
it.
well, he knows he's lying because obviously he probably had saw him. But going back to your theory a little bit, so let's just recap. Who's the kid with the backpack?
Peter.
Mortimer said Peter did it, and Peter was going to defend himself, but doesn't get a chance to. Okay, so here's my theory, backpack theory. So Peter didn't pull down on his hand. Peter turned around and his backpack
Whacked it with his backpack.
whacked it with his backpack, or his backpack got stuck on something. When he walked away, the whole thing came.
But he
tumbling
did
down.
not pull the hand.
He didn't
because
pull a
that's
hand. T-Rex have
impossible.
very, very small hands. Didn't you see
And they
Jurassic
were 18
Park?
feet
Come on.
tall.
Yeah. Or Toy Story, very small hands. Rex has very small hands. So that's my theory, the backpack. And how would Georgie know it? Because when Georgie realized that they weren't behind him, he turned around and saw Peter turn and his backpack hit it and maybe knocked it down. So he knows he didn't do it on purpose. Because Mortimer's saying he did it, and he's just lying how he did it, and it was probably an accident, and Peter's trying to explain, my backpack caught it. That's my theory.
Okay, so I will be giving a bonus point to Joel, the Misery Loves Company bonus point, because my thought was the arms are too small. If he took down an arm, it wouldn't make the whole thing topple. And my reasoning was that Georgie knows this about T-Rexes, so he knows that's a lie.
And he couldn't jump up
So that's
15
the
feet
real
to
thing.
get the
Barb said
arm.
it first, so I'm giving Barb the full 3 points because it's 18 feet up in the air. How would they go and grab it to make it all topple down? And that was something I just didn't notice on my first read through. And then I went back and they explained it. Now, further proof that you could have realized is if you remember in the ongoing game of Got You Back, the most recent thing that happened was Peter pushed Mortimer into the raptor exhibit. So Mortimer wanted to get Peter
Peter
back.
So he
back.
pushed them into the...
So what ended up happening was he pushed him into the T-Rex exhibit, and that's what happened. So it was Mortimer's fault. So you were kind of close with the backpack thing, but it was Mortimer wanted to get
Makes
Peter
sense.
back. He pushed him into the exhibit. And then what's really great in the solution section when they do it is Georgie gives this whole explanation. Mortimer gets in trouble, and then Peter goes over, like pretending to try to console Mortimer,
Says,
and then
"Gotcha."
slaps him on the back and says, "Gotcha back."
Because no matter what happens, you have to
Awesome.
win the game.
It's awesome. I'm glad Peter did that because Mortimer just tried to, I don't know what the punishment for this is, but it feels pretty significant if you ruin a museum exhibit, especially if they cause any damage. So the fact that Mortimer tried to throw Peter under the bus here, I'm glad that Peter was able to get him with the ultimate got you back.
There you go.
So that is the end. And Barbara, you are victorious in this episode of Meddling Adults with a score of 11-6. You have earned money for the Jeremy Fund. So Barbara, how does it feel to conquer Joel?
It just feels wonderful to earn money for the Jeremy Fund
Right. It is a
and
great
to be
cause.
part of your podcast.
I'm glad we could finally make it happen.
This
Yeah,
was
this is
so much
great.
fun.
It's been a long time coming.
So after you have your multitude of guests,
Mm-hmm.
we need a rematch because I'm not going to I'll never be able to live this
because
down.
Dad wants to continue with Gotcha.
Yeah. We'll have to do a rematch either with you two or we bring Megan into the mix and it's a 3-way family showdown.
There we
Well,
go.
you should do Megan and Travis.
We could. We could get Aurora in here. The possibilities are endless.
Just don't do the first 8 books of Clue Jr.
Yeah, we'll have
because
to-
that's not good for Aurora to learn these types of unacceptable behaviors.
They're horrible. And it was funny when I was getting these books off of the used online bookstore that I was getting them from. Someone had the review where this person said, the books are fun and I like the mysteries, but be careful because they teach horrible lessons. The other mysteries in this book involve property damage. It's one of the kids broke the window of someone else's house and then tried to lie about how that happened. There was a faulty note written to try to get someone not to be able to compete in their Clue Junior debate club type thing. They have a debate club where they just play the board game Clue Junior against each other. Someone wrote a faulty note, so there's forgery involved. Like, there are truly horrible, dastardly things that these kids do to each other. So I'm very glad that from edition 8 on, they end up doing some good things, like our more trusted detectives like Encyclopedia Brown.
And yet, when you were in grammar school, there was a huge debate. Should we let you read the books Captain Underpants?
Oh, that became a big debate?
That was a big deal because supposedly it was bad language, but it was like 10-year-old boy language.
It was potty humor. I have all
It
of
was
those
potty
books in
humor.
my bookcase there.
And the consensus at the school was, if they're reading, never discourage them
Don't
from
question
reading.
it. That's good.
So you too can read Captain Underpants and have a successful educational career.
That's great. Yeah. Look, I've done it. I am
Exactly.
basically a professional book reader at this point. So, Captain Underpants probably where I am today. But no, I appreciate the fact that I don't know where it all started, but I always liked Encyclopedia Brown as a kid. And when I was home for Christmas most recently, when I was trying to think of the idea for meddling adults, I went through my old bookcase, which we have upstairs here, and I found Encyclopedia Brown edition number 1 with a receipt in it for, of course, $4 because we bought it in the late 90s. And it was from Borders, the bookstore that doesn't exist anymore.
I had a job in Princeton where there was a very small mall. And in that mall, there were 3 bookstores. And every day on my lunch, I went to the 3 bookstores and checked out the children's section. And it was when Megan was reading Babysitter's Little Sisters series.
Oh, okay.
And she had to read them in order. So I went bookstore to bookstore to bookstore just to keep Megan in books and then find books that you would be interested in because you both had different interests in reading.
Megan liked it and I didn't.
Yeah, you didn't show that much interest in reading at a young age. So it was my job to find books that you were interested in.
You did a good job. You did a poor job. I mean, thankfully it all worked out to where I didn't like Harry Potter growing up, which was fine. But I was really into those sports books. Like I have a ton of those Matt Christopher books. Holes by Louis Sachar, though, is my favorite, though. I think that was the first book where I actually enjoyed reading. And that kind of actually kickstarted me into reading for fun again. But that was the time where you used to have to beg me to read like a chapter a night of a book, whether it was for anything. And the one time I did more of it, I think I was reading Holes and you said, I'll come up in 10 minutes to tuck me in or whatever. And then I just kept reading and I went for another hour or so just because I was so captivated by the story.
Yeah, it was just a matter of finding out the books that interest you. And Encyclopedia Brown did it and all those sports books did it. And you were more into even biographies at a young age, like about Derek Jeter, whoever. You just didn't want to read anything fictional.
Or anything about castles or sorcerers or any of that stuff. I'm not interested.
No, I want things where I can picture myself. I want to be a detective solving crimes for quarters. I want to be a baseball player or a kid that gets sent to a correctional facility where you have to dig 6 feet by 6 feet holes in the desert. Things where you can actually see yourself. So Barb and Joel, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you.
I'm glad. It's been a long time coming to have you on a podcast of mine. You're just not Harry Potter experts, so it doesn't really work. But I'm glad we can make this happen. And you did pretty well. You were very on top of these mysteries. And I guess that's because in these books they have kids, but in our case we had a couple of meddling adults.
But
Hey, thanks for listening to Meddling Adults. Meddling Adults is created, hosted, edited, and produced by me, Mike Schubert. It's co-produced by Multitude. The art is by Maayan Atias. The music is by Bettina Campamanas, and the website is by me and Kelly Schubert. All of the prize money that goes to charity comes from our Patreon, patreon.com/meddlingadults, where you can also get access to a bunch of audio clips, bloopers, and anything else that doesn't make it into the show. You can also contribute to our charity prize pool with a one-time donation at paypal.me/meddlingadults. If you want to follow the show on social media, it's at Meddling Adults on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and reddit.com/r/meddlingadults. If you want to learn more about the show, you can go to meddlingadults.com, and if you tell someone about the show, whether you reach out to someone directly, you think of someone that would like the show, and you say, hey, I think you'd like the show, or if you leave a rating and review online, both of those really do help. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next week for the season finale.
Why does every recipe I try need 18 ingredients, including a jar of something paste I'll never use again, but will sit in my fridge for 9 months? I just want dinner in the oven, fast. That's why I love Blue Apron's new one-pan assemble and bake meals. They send you fresh ingredients that are already chopped. All you do is put it all together and bake. That's it. No chopping, no weird leftovers, just delicious, easy-to-make meals. Get 20% off your first 2 orders with code APRON20. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.